should know at this point.
Yeah.
And if you have any questions on it, knowing, hey, you gotta put your mask on.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Take a sip.
I forgot that. I just had a water bottle in my hand.
Once again, knowing that like we have a little break, you'll obviously be practicing, but when we come back, we will be reviewing and having an assessment. So if you have questions, it's always better to clear it up sooner rather than later. So when I look at this, I say, okay, I'm solving it the same way I solve an equation, so I'm not too sad about it. I just kind of go through, do my thing. I'm gonna combine my terms on this left side. I get negative 1x minus 14 is less than or equal to negative 12. I'm just doing like a two-step here. So add to both sides. I get negative 1x is less than or equal to 2. And then I'm gonna divide. So hopefully somewhere in your brain, a little alarm went off. I'm dividing by a negative, so I have to flip this inequality. So your final answer should be x is greater than or equal to negative 2. And it does ask you to graph it. So on your number line, you would have a closed circle and you would shade to the right. And that would be your answer. So the big thing, as you're doing anything over the next few virtual days, or eventually when we rejoin in December, always be aware of that rule because it just randomly pops up. It's not necessarily obvious what problems it will be on, so you always have to be on the lookout for it. Does anyone have a question with the warm-up? Okay, so here's my question. Do you want to do some problems and then do the word problems at the end? Or do you want to get the word problems out of the way and then like try a few later?
I say word problems.
I could probably pass the pig,
First.
honestly.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, probably pass the pig.
It's not you.
You're so funny. I don't know how you get through a day without just feeling over with laughter. Okay, so let's do one or two word problems. I'm gonna have you try one on your own as well. But there was a few online, so kind of just look at you with you. I'm trying to set it up so you can see it. I know there's sometimes a bad glare in here with that sun.
It's like fire phones and shit. Dude, I didn't get the names of those.
Ah.
They're best books.
So, let's read through this one. There's two I wanted to do with you. Just because maybe, I don't know, they were a little different. And then I'm gonna have you guys try one or two, and then we'll just try a few other practice problems. But today, once again, just kind of like reminding ourselves of what we need. So Brenda, she has $500 in her bank account. Every week she withdraws $40 for expenses. So she knows like she gives herself a little bit each week to spend without making any deposits. So she has nothing to put back in, unfortunately. How many weeks can she withdraw this money if she wants to maintain a balance of at least $200? So the at least is our hint. We have an inequality. So I'm gonna start to kind of set myself up. X in this case, I wanna know how many weeks. So it's gonna be number of weeks. So she starts with $500. If I'm withdrawing 40, should I add 40 or subtract it?
Subtract it.
Thank you. That was in there, that's good. I'm subtracting I'm taking out $40 per week. So hopefully it should also make sense that we put that X with that 40. She wants her balance to be at least $200. Should it be greater than or less than everyone?
Should be greater.
Yeah.
Greater than. Should there be an or equal to?
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so if I say at least 200, she'd be good with 200. Or anything above that, so 200. So just using some keywords, seeing how things are connected and related, making sure you know what at least means. It does mean greater than. little things like that. To solve this, it shouldn't be too bad, but you need to pay attention. So once again, the same thing kind of happens as I did in our warm-up. We get negative 40x is greater than or equal to negative 300. We're gonna divide, what did I just write? When I'm dividing by a negative, I have to flip my inequality, which should kind of make sense for the context of this problem. Because we're just talking about how many weeks. I don't even know what that is, so I'm gonna do it out, it'd be 7.5. So when we're giving our answer, how many weeks can she withdraw the money if she wants to maintain that balance? She can go 7.5 weeks, so 7 full weeks. She couldn't go to 8 because she wouldn't have enough money. I guess if you're, say, half a week, you could take out half the money type deal. But it should make sense that that flipped, because it would be greater than 7 weeks wouldn't make sense. So for the context of the problem, make sure you're paying attention. So does anyone have a question with that one? Yep.
If there's like a question like this on a test,
Mhm.
would both answers be acceptable?
Yeah, or I would be specific, like round to the nearest whole number of weeks or something. So, but yes, if I wasn't specific, I would take both. Yep, perfect. Okay, so there was one more one I wanted to do with you, and I wanted to do it because it's a compound inequality. We talked about those, but we never really saw a compound inequality word problem, so I wanted to show you what it looked like. It's similar to one we were doing the other day, though. And then I'm gonna have you guys try one. Okay. So good old Jeffrey has a 93 and an 81 in his first 2 tests. Progress reports are, they're going home after the 3rd test, and if he does not have an A average, he cannot go to the football game that week. What a letdown. So good old Jeffy here wants to make at least to a grade on the 3rd test to be allowed to go to the football game. Okay, so we were kind of talking about this yesterday. X is gonna be the score on his 3rd test. Okay, we said, he got a 93 and an 81. I don't know what he's getting on the 3rd one yet. Oh, excuse me, I have a 3, I meant X. I was saying 3rd, but meant to write X. I would divide that by 3. Hey guys, if I want an A, what does that mean about my grade? What does my grade have to be?
90 plus.
Nope,
90.
that would be an A minus.
93, you're on the 90.
An A is in between a 93.
And a 96, 97.
96.
96. Well, 97 is A plus.
97 is A plus, so, between 93 to 96.
No.
Okay. So,
they'll be mad if he has an A plus.
I mean, yeah, you could say you need to get obviously greater than, but we're gonna make it a compounder here. Gonna have some fun. So for him to get his A, he wants in between a 93 and a 96. Obviously, if he got greater than that, I think he'd be pretty happy. But we'll just kind of keep it in that range. So that means I want this grade, this average, to be greater than or equal to 93. Because if he gets a 93, he's good. And less than or equal to 96. So if I want it in a certain range, I make a compound inequality to make it in between those. Once again, I think we can all agree if you got greater than, that's fine, but less than is definitely not good. So we solve it. I'm gonna multiply this by 3 to cancel that. Whatever I do to the middle, I do to the right and to the left. I grab a calculator, because I don't know what the heck that is. That gives me 279 is less than or equal to, I combine those like terms. 174 plus X, which is less than or equal to 288. And then to get my X, I'll just subtract that 174, once again from every part. Let's see. Oh, Jeffy, things aren't looking good, buddy. Things are not looking good for the football game.
Needs a 105.
I'm gonna be honest with you. He needs to get between 105 and 114,
He got the one.
to participate in the football festivities. So once again, sometimes you get an answer, you're like, that's not possible, because not everything is possible in life, unfortunately.
I thought
Yeah.
So just make sure,
Just for your mind to.
well, I don't know if that's possible, to be honest with you. Especially, I know, we talk about grades a lot, and, I mean, it is what it is, but, you just need to make sure if you have certain goals, that they are attainable. You can't get like a C on something and then be like, well, you know, I'm gonna go out for this scholarship later, and I need a 4.0 GPA. Well, it's like, well, coming back from a C in a class is probably gonna be kind of hard to get that. So, if you have goals, keep them in mind, because you wanna work towards them. And make them attainable. You don't want things that are, you need all sorts of crazy things to get there. But I just wanted to show you that that is a compound inequality because you want in a certain range. So you want it to be greater than something and kind of less than something else, so in between. So just as a heads up there, I wanted to show you that one. And I'm gonna have you try this one.
Cool.
Hold on, I'll
Cool.
give myself some more room here. Okay. Okay, so we got Josh and Pam, they bought an older home, so they need some repairs. So they budgeted a certain amount, they're spending, $425 on some small improvements, and then they need to replace 6 doors. So what's the minimum amount that they can afford to spend on each door? Right now, can everyone please set up an inequality and solve that word problem?
That's cool.
So think about, what am I looking for? I'm looking for the amount they can spend on a door. There's 6 of them, they spent some other money, they have a total, and you figure it out. I'll give you about, I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes to see how far you get. I'm just gonna do my 10 minutes in my count here. Everyone was here today.
Okay. What?
All right, so like, so just as a heads up, first term was like, I think for most people, it was just like a very big adjustment. Thank you. I can't think of it.
You're welcome.
Very big adjustment for me included. Like I don't think I was normal even for the first 2 months of school. Like I just couldn't even function. But I'm back. Feeling good. New term.
Good.
term, going into it, feeling strong.
You just.
I did just wanna let you know, you guys all did really well last term. So good job.
Thank you.
Everyone had in the A or B range, so that's a nice thing. People, just in my prior year's experience, around holidays, sometimes you get a little lax and we don't do stuff and we
Word.
just are in our own little world. So with me being on my game now, if I see you miss an assignment, you will get an email from me that day, well, the next day when I'm checking it. Just to remind you that you can do it late. If I see multiple missing assignments, things like calling your house, I'm actually thinking just to make you feel uncomfortable, calling your house at 5 o'clock and then making you talk to me on the phone. Wouldn't that be
I don't
torture?
have in front of your parents.
Okay, then I'll call your parents' cell phone and I'll be like, hey, is Eli there? Can I talk to him for a
Bro, what if
second?
you're just what if you're just eating dinner?
I don't have your numbers.
What if you're just eating dinner?
Okay, so I'll make it at 6:30.
What if you're still eating
That's so
dinner?
loud.
Oh, yeah, just throw them on. I don't care if you're chewing. I just want to make you feel as awkward as possible. I've decided. I'm just gonna put you in a awkward position.
Yeah, well,
Like, can I join your two games?
Yeah. I will contact your guidance counselor if you're falling behind. I'll contact your vice principal.
Dude,
because
I don't
they'll
even
be
know
on-
my guidance counselor. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Oh no.
I haven't met her. Him,
Oh.
her, I don't even know.
I can tell you who it is.
They.
So far, you guys are pretty good, but I just want to let you know, I'm gonna be on people, because I had a few people last term, not necessarily in this class, that really, they just, whew, it was a tough transition, so. I just want you to know, I'm here, I care.
Wow,
I'm
that
gonna
was
be,
the corniest,
I
most
know.
sarcasm speech I've ever
but I
heard.
do, that's the thing, is I care.
I am huge.
The issue is sometimes I care more than you, and then that's where the issues lie, because I can't do it for
My
you.
term
So,
two starts.
do your work
Yes.
unless you want to be my best friend, basically, because we'll bond.
We're already best friends, dog.
Yeah. Sure. Sure. So, Josh and good old Pammy here. So first thing, X is going to be the money they can spend on each door. Okay. So they need to buy 6 doors, so for each door, they're spending a certain amount of money. They've already spent $425 on other stuff. And I wanna know what's the maximum amount. So they only have a certain amount of money, so they can spend less than or equal to the amount of money that they saved. So that should have been your inequality. If you had said 425 plus 6x, that's fine. I'm gonna go through and solve that. And X should have been less than or equal to $210. That's the type of stuff you have to do when you own a house.
I wrote it differently. I said 1685 minus 425 is greater than or equal to.
Yeah, it's the same thing, right? We got the same answer. Yeah, it's just you moved the things together. That's perfect. So that's the stuff you have to look forward to when you're an adult, spending $200 on doors. So that's that. So we didn't do anything too crazy with word problems. So in general, you're just reading through, kind of trying to put stuff together. And look for the big thing is the keywords and what inequality you use. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna put up 3 inequalities. I would like you to do your best to solve them. Today's the day you're just saying, what questions do I have, so you can clear them up. So as we're moving towards an assessment after Thanksgiving, there are no issues. What is it?
What time is it? I can't see it.
It's 10:40.
Oh, so we might have time for past.
We'll see. You gotta do these word problems?
And then we're done?
So if we finish these, we can pass like.
Yes.
Does it
Honestly,
start at 11:06?
everybody just
The next
don't do it. I mean, do it.
This is over at 11:01.
Darn, yeah.
I believe. Okay, so solid ground. We did kind of a not terrible one at the beginning, but I feel like sometimes when people see fractions, they get thrown off. So I would like you to try this one. Say 5, 6x plus 1/8. Okay, so just like with equations, we can do the same stuff. So see if you can organize your brain around that one. We can also do compound inequalities. So
I have a
let's,
question.
what is it?
So you know how you did like, or when we did inequalities or something? You
Sure.
could like multiply
the whole
the
chapter?
fractions.
Yep, you can do the same thing.
Alright, so.
Yep, you can multiply by the common denominator. Okay, so then you have a compounder, just trying to think of things that maybe we've done, but maybe we haven't seen in a little bit. And I'm gonna put an absolute value inequality as 2. 2x minus 6. So in general, no matter what this setup, we wanna go into it hopefully knowing what we're doing. So for number 1, you see fractions, you don't have a heart attack, you could say, I can do the same thing with equations, I can multiply by the common denominator. And now you can use, calculators too, so that should make your life easier. Number 2 is a compound inequality, so there are, there's the middle, but then there's the left and right, so what should you do to isolate that variable? And then number 3 is an absolute value inequality, which means you are gonna have 2 answers, but do you remember how to actually set it up and solve it? Now, I'll give you a few, but I'm going to be walking around and one, checking that you're doing something, so make sure you're working. And then I'll just check in with people individually to see if you have questions, before we start to go over them in a few. But I'll give you a few minutes to start because there's nothing worse than me walking around and not even started yet. But please always call me over, yell it out. If you have a question, I am here to answer it.
Thanks.
So I'm gonna sanitize my hands, I'm gonna carry my hand sanitizer. But I'm just gonna walk around and kind of just check in, how you feeling, do you need help with anything, or do you wanna check anything? If you're good, just tell me you're good, and I'll just keep wandering on back. Should I pause this? And then if we have a few extra minutes, we can chat about something before we're on our way for our break here. I will remind you, between now and the next time I see you in person, you have 4 virtual assignments.
That's ridiculous.
So do them,
Oculus.
because once again, it's missing like every now and then. If you miss one, they really do add up. I try not to give you things that are like super long, super like complicated. Really, it's just practice most of the time. So just do your best to practice, and you should be fine.
Yeah, all the virtual things you grade if you like get it right.
Nope, I grade it based on if you did it, and then I like look through the answers as I'm doing it, and then that's how I decide like what we do the next day. So if I see a lot of people get the same thing wrong, then I'll add one second.
Just get on with it.
Huh?
See, now that's just suspicious.
I've always said that. If you just do it, you get 100. Yes. All you
You've
need to
been
do is
doing that the whole time.
Okay, most of your grade is actually an effort grade, so just try
That's
it.
my kind of grade.
Yep, if you try, like, we have assessments, but they're really like, they don't affect your grade as much as the assignments do, so do the assignment. Okay, so 1 looks annoying, but we can multiply by a common denominator, in this case would be 24, and that will take care of the fractions for us. So that would give us what, 12x plus 18 is less than or equal to 20x plus 3. You can arrange however you please. I always just make it so my x is positive, so I always move the smaller number. If you wanted to move that over there, you'll just have to deal with the negative in a few minutes. So it's up to you, whatever works. I'm gonna subtract the 3, that will give me 15 is less than or equal to 8x. So 15/8 is less than or equal to x. If it freaks you out when the x is on the right, just because it doesn't make sense in your brain, always feel free to flip it. That really just says x is greater than or equal to 15/8. So these are the same thing, but if you're graphing it, I get lazy, I just put 15/8 there, I don't even figure out what it really is. So if you want to get a little bit more detail, that's fine. Closed circle, you should have shaded to the right. Just as a heads up there. Any questions on number 1?
No.
Fabulous. Number 2, whatever I do to the middle to isolate my variable, I'm gonna do to the right and the left, so I'm gonna multiply by 7. I get negative 14 is less than 3 minus 2x is less than or equal to 35. I'm going to subtract 3 from each section. So what would that give me? Negative 17. 32. And I'm dividing by negative 2. Please be careful here. I am dividing by a negative. So as I am doing this, I am flipping every inequality for this to be my final answer. I think about a number line, a negative will go over here, a positive will go over here. Once again, I'm not getting too specific about my actual number line. I'm saying that x is greater than or equal to negative 16 and less than or equal to 17 over 2. So that one we would kind of meet in the middle there. But if you didn't flip, that's where you might have gotten messed up. And last but not least, we need to isolate this absolute value. So I'm going to multiply by 3. I'm going to add 6. So I haven't split into 2 yet. You can't split into 2 until your absolute value is isolated. Now I can come up with 2 inequalities. 2x plus 1 is less than or equal to 12. 2x plus 1 is greater than or equal to negative 12. Why did I do that? Why did I just flip this? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Just randomly I flipped it and I don't know why. So I'm sorry, that should be greater than, that should be less than. I know I went wrong somewhere. I'm just gonna solve these quick. If I subtract 1 and divide by 2, I would get x is greater than or equal to 11 over 2. That would be negative 13 over 2. Greater, so it's one or the other. And then to graph it, please make sure your number line is correct. A negative is to the left of a positive. We're saying it's greater than or equal to this, less than or equal to this. And we should have known that it was gonna look like that anyways, because with the grade score problems, they go away from each other. Sorry. Brushing my head through those bad boys.